So once we have created our data model and we answered all of the questions about the information we need to have available in the data sets, the next part will be to create or think about how we are going to create the layout. And also in that phase we are going to have to ask ourselves a couple of questions. So let's get a view on these types of questions. So when we are going to visualize our data model in the layout, you need to know that the layout is actually going to be based on the data set that we have created. So we're going to start by creating a body, which we might or might not include a header and or a footer with the information that needs to be displayed on every page. Then we are going to, or we might have to include some groupings. And in a grouping we are typically going to aggregate information, which means that we are going to summarize via sums or averages and other types of aggregation functions. In our layout, we might need to apply filters and sorting depending on where the information actually is in the data set. And we're going to do this by making use of different data regions in the layout, and the data regions that we can use are the table, the matrix, the list and the chart. Now if we are going to apply this actually on a report where we are going to display the inventory by location, also here we're going to ask ourselves a couple of questions. So let's have a look at a real-life example. Questions that we can ask about the layout are the following. So I'm going to visualize my information. Do I need to take into account that an item can expire? And if yes, how am I going to visualize this? Am I going to use colors, for example? Or am I going to use shapes? Because shapes is very important. The locations in the layout and the items, what order am I going to display them? Are we going to do this alphabetically? Or are we going to use a specific order depending on the type of item? Am I going to use and include the key performance indicators? For example, are we going to have to compare our inventory with reorder points? How am I going to visualize the inventory? Am I just going to use a number, or are we going to make use of a data bar visualization like we have available in our toolbox? So when you consider actually the layout of the report, there are some questions in this example that we need to ask ourselves, which I have summarized here in this slide.